So, Paul, tell us about the development of X-Lock and the thinking behind it.
Yeah, X-Lock really, with traditional angle grinders, when you're changing a disc, it becomes very difficult and time consuming. You need a spanner to undo the nut. Also, you can never find that spanner. You can lose it. Also, the actual locking nut on the actual angle grinder become hot. So when you come to touch, you can obviously burn your fingers, which is a safety issue. And it can be tight and hard to remove. So when you use an angle grinder, once you come to remove the actual locking nut, it is just require a bit of a force with the actual spanner. So all these reasons really is one of the main topics that Bosch looked into this tool-free system.
Yeah.
So they looked into ways that could improve the user interface for the construction worker, and this is where X-Lock came about really. And the actual mechanism itself actually originated the idea from an engineer at Bosch that was a keen skier. And when you put your boots into a ski, it has like this clicking system, and that's where the actual idea came from. So it is really a tool-free
Yeah.
accessory change.
Yeah. So, what are some of the advantages to tradespeople in terms of productivity and speed on site?
Well, when you're changing a traditional angle grinder disc, depending if you can find your spanner, for starters, which is always usually in the toolbox in the van outside, it can take a minute plus to change a disc, and time is money on a job. And with the advantage of X-Lock is that you can do it there and then. So all you have to do is pull the lever on the top of the machine, it releases a disc, you can then select your other grinding or cutting disc, and then within 5 seconds, change the disc. So literally it's a less than 5 second disc change. So for a user on site, whether he's lending his grinder to his friends or to his work colleagues, it's a quick time not consuming grinder change. And that's one of the main advantages of X-Lock.
Yeah, yeah. So, in terms of safety, then, how does it enhance on-site safety?
One of them with cutting, you can only mount the disc in one direction. So with a traditional angle grinder disc, you can actually mount it the wrong way without knowing. There's an actual direction of rotation on the disc itself. And if you do mount that the wrong way, for instance on a diamond blade, you can actually cut backwards, which will still work, but you will not get the efficiency of the disc and on the job. With an X-Lock disc, you can only mount it one way. So when you go to actually mount the disc, you'll clearly find out that it will only click in one direction. It's usually the picture side facing up. So that's one of the main safety features of it. In terms of other safety features, it's got an X brake and drop control on all our grinders. So when you actually let go of the machine in terms of the trigger, the disc stops instantaneously. If you drop the grinder, it's got like a chip inside the grinder itself, which will automatically stop the grinder from spinning around. Because obviously if you're up a ladder and your colleagues holding the ladder below, if you drop a traditional angle grinder, that can still be rotating when it's hitting the floor. It's got kickback control, so when you actually cut in, say, into steel, they are notoriously renowned for kicking back, because if you've got two materials pinching the blade, it can kick back, which is obviously dangerous. Our machines have got this, again, it's got a sensor in there which determines the acceleration change, and instantaneously it will switch it off straight away. And it just really ensures the disc is securely fastened. Again, with a standard angle grinder, when you come to actually fasten the disc, if you don't tighten the disc up, because you have to hold the spindle lock and then use your old pin spanner, if that's not securely fastened and it is slightly loose, if you start switching that grinder on, the locking up can become loose, and then obviously the disc could then potentially come off the machine at 13,000 RPM. Nobody wants to be in the vicinity of one of those flying off the grinder.
So, do X-Lock discs, do they fit on any Bosch angle grinder then, do they?
All X-Lock discs are backwards compatible, so you can take a standard X-Lock disc and you can put it on any manufacturer's 4.5-inch or 5-inch machine. Obviously, you can't put a standard angle grinder disc on an X-Lock machine, but all X-Lock discs are backwards compatible. So whether you have competitor A, B, or C, if you buy into the X-Lock system, you can then use it on your standard angle grinders, and then when your angle grinder needs replacing, you can then obviously upgrade to an X-Lock grinder and then still utilize your discs.
Yeah. So, from a tradesperson point of view, from the end user perspective, how do they know that the disc is actually secured and in place then?
So when you actually on an angle grinder, on the X-Lock angle grinder, there's a red lever on the top, which is like a rectangle shape, and you pull that back to make sure it's disengaged. You flip then the angle grinder round on its back, You then place a disc. You literally locate it onto the actual fitment, push it down, and once you push it down, you'll hear a really nice click or a snap noise. You can actually see the mechanism lock into place, and then you know it's locked. It's really quite a loud click. So if you don't hear that, you'll know it's not locked, and you'll know straight away because it's either loose, where you can pick it up with your hand, or it's physically locked to the machine.
Yeah.
And then to release the disc, all you do is flip the machine round again, pull the red lever on the top, and then it will release the disc. And we also have another safety feature is that when the machine is running, the actual mechanism disengages, so you cannot actually physically release the disc when the disc is spinning. So that's another safety feature that Bosch built into the machines.
Good. So does X-Lock improve the quality of the finish then? Does it make up for a better angle grind?
On cutting, I would say no, because cutting is the X-Lock just speeds up the fitment and the convenience of the disc. But when you're actually grinding, with a standard angle grinder, you have the locking nut which protrudes from the disc, so it probably sticks out about half an inch. Now, when you're flat grinding, obviously that locking nut gets in the way. It interferes with the material, and sometimes it can damage the material that you are actually grinding, whether it's a surface weld or stainless or sanding wood. Because X-Lock is a keyless system, it doesn't have that additional locking nut. The actual disc surface is a lot flatter. So when you come into grind and taking off material, you'll get the actual grind on a flatter, more horizontal. So you will actually improve the quality of finish and get it done quicker.
Yeah. Paul, that's great. Thanks very much for your time.
Thank you.